Dragon Ball Super is back in animated form as Dragon Ball Super Super Hero. The 21st movie premieres in theaters, and I happen to have seen the film, so on this video, I'm going to give you my review of Dragon Ball Super Super Hero from 2022 Toei Animation. Don't forget to push that like button as it does help out the channel, and if you are new here, hit the subscribe button and enable all notifications so you don't miss a single video, and I thank you for 7 years of support. So this is going to be a non-spoiler review. I will do a spoiler review for the film very soon. Toei Animation took a pretty big gamble with Dragon Ball Super Super Hero, a movie focused on not Goku and not Vegeta and not Broly, although they are there, shifting the focus of the film to Gohan, Goku's son, as he has to once again learn what it means to be a superhero. If you've seen the trailer and the poster, then you already know this movie focuses on Gohan and Piccolo's relationship along with Gohan's daughter Pan, and a threat that looms in the horizon from the resurrected Red Ribbon Army at a time when Goku and Vegeta are not on Earth. The first thing I want to discuss is the visuals, because a lot of people are worried about this. When Dragon Ball Super announced that this film was going to be in 3D with 2D models, it horrified a lot of us because of how great Dragon Ball Super Broly was, and most of us wanted more. But Toei Animation instead chose to go with a different director and a different composer. Naoki Sato takes over the music for this film, and let me tell you, it absolutely is superhero-esque. Watching this film felt like watching Avengers Infinity War. In fact, if you remember, the movie went into pre-production in 2019, right before Avengers Endgame came out, and let me tell you, there is a ton of influence, including one scene in this movie near the end that rips off a major aspect of Infinity War. I could not believe they actually did something like this. Dragon Ball Super Super Hero feels super heroic. The music really sounds like something from Marvel, something from Spider-Man, or even Batman in the DC universe. It's definitely a unique take on Dragon Ball, but it does fit with the overall tone of the film, which is mostly lighthearted until things get serious. Nagamine from Dragon Ball Super Broly was replaced by Tetsuro Kodama this go around, and let me tell you, I became a quick fan of his directing style within the first few minutes of the film. The camera angles in this movie are bonkers. When you see these fights, the way he uses the camera to kind of show you either a new area or a different perspective from the fight, and for the most part, it looks absolutely breathtaking. However, I must admit there are about 4 or 5 scenes where the CGI does not look good. That's the truth. I'm not sure if these were unfinished or they just couldn't get it right, but there are some panning shots, especially one in particular that I'm thinking of near the final battle, where it really resembles like a PlayStation 3 game. It really does not look very good. But for the most part, whether it be the slice of life scenes or the incredible action in this film, it works. In fact, the movie feels probably more like Dragon Ball than even Broly did to an effect, because Broly kind of brought in more of the science fiction space opera element, whereas this film is grounded on Earth and feels like an arc that would be added right to the Dragon Ball story, either in Dragon Ball or even during the Z era. But like I said, the movie shifts its focus to Gohan, but really it's a Piccolo movie because Piccolo has the most scenes, the most lines, and carries the plot of this film. But as I was saying a few minutes ago, I was absolutely astounded as to how well this movie was directed. From the very first opening shot, which is a flashback to events that took place in Dragon Ball and catches you up, even if you haven't seen Dragon Ball Z or even Super, they do a good job of catching you up. But from that first scene, the way it's put together was shockingly good. I must be honest, I was very skeptical because I don't like Dragon Ball looking like this, but they made it work and they made it way more awesome than I was expecting. And right from the beginning, they catch you up on what's been going on with the Red Ribbon Army and how they've still been around. And it also gives you backstory on some of the new characters, which I must say, these new characters are really fun to watch. They're actually surprisingly deeper than I thought. Going into this, I wasn't sure if we're going to get complex stories or maybe something deeper. And while this is not that complex, some of the choices that characters make in the movie were kind of surprising, especially the villains. The villains range from being comedic to being twirly mustache Saturday morning cartoon-esque to being surprisingly emotional at times when you don't think so. But really this story was created, I feel, by Akira Toriyama to give back to the fans because the fan service in this movie is turned up to the max. There are things that Toriyama wrote into this film that fans have wanted to see for years, and it really gave me a Battle of Gods vibe watching it for the very first time. And as I said, I was a skeptic, but I was so happy because everything came together and all fit and made sense when it comes to the presentation of this story. It really feels more like a film that belongs in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, more so than a movie that's a continuation of a kung fu story about aliens and androids. Even though MCU has some of that stuff in there, this feels a lot more like one of those types of films than a Dragon Ball movie, because this was much more of a Western perspective on what a superhero is and the responsibility that you must take when you have power. With great power comes great responsibility, and Piccolo himself really does come off like an Uncle Ben type of character in this movie. Now, this movie is also a visual overload because when you get to the finale, the colors on the screen, like I genuinely wonder if an epileptic person can handle this film, because if you thought that the Gogeta Blue versus Broly fight where they cracked the dimensional fabric was video and audio overload, let me tell you, they did their damnedest to try to beat that movie when it comes to that in one particular sequence. It really is a big array of colors, explosions, incredible sound effects. If you're going to see a Dragon Ball movie in theaters, Broly was a great experience. I feel like this one might be a greater experience on the biggest possible screen because the final battle of this film is big. It's got multiple characters, it's got multiple phases to it and situations. It just felt like a classic Dragon Ball movie, but brought up to the modern times with a superhero-esque soundtrack. As I've said before, and now after watching the film, Goku, Vegeta, and Broly aren't really needed for the story of this film. They're pretty much there just to sell the film to people who want to see them, but they really have no bearing on the main plot, and it's kind of a fun little cutaway from Earth. But let me tell you, there is a martial arts sequence between Goku and Vegeta in this film that is absolutely masterful. I had to watch it again and again and again because it's incredibly well choreographed, and it really is one of the few true martial arts type of battles in this film, because when you move that out of the way, this film is all about good guys versus bad guys and genuinely feels like it was produced in the United States and not Japan. Now, I must say that one of the big problems with this film is that there are a couple of recycled plot points, like involving Gohan and Pan, which I'm not going to get into because this is a non-spoiler review. But there's a couple of plot points that are, to be honest, kind of lazy and a retread of what we heard before. And there's also moments in this film where characters do things that aren't really explained at all. And I do hope they explain it later on, whether it be with another movie or a TV show or even an interview. But there are things that happen in this movie that literally came out of left field and feel like ass pulls. Things just came out of nowhere, and that was a little bit awkward. But again, I hope they fix it. One of the things that I also enjoyed was the comedy. There wasn't too much comedy in this one, but there was a lot of comedy, especially in the first half. And all of it is character-based. Piccolo being a babysitter, Gohan being lazy, Broly being out of control and doing funny things while in these states. That's how the comedy works. There's one scene in this movie with Beerus and Chilai that's probably the funniest Beerus moment we've gotten in Dragon Ball so far. The second half of this movie, though, is non-stop action. Well, they do stop for a couple minutes, but besides that, it's just fighting, action, explosions, and a finale worthy of it being a Dragon Ball movie. I would put this finale, this final section of the movie, the last 30 minutes, up there with Gogeta Blue versus Broly. Even though I kind of enjoyed the Broly fight a tiny bit more, this one right here was just so overwhelming and astounding that you're going to want to watch it again and again and again to pick up on all the little like Easter eggs and moments, because there's a lot of moments with a lot of characters, and it truly, truly felt like the producers of this film put their heart and soul into this. And alongside that, Toriyama's writing style, going all the way back to Dr. Slump, is very prevalent here. This movie is very self-aware of what it is. It's total fan service schlock that somehow manages to feel authentic, but also has that Toriyama flavor that's genuine. This film was a lot of fun. I would probably put it maybe slightly below Broly, but only slightly because I had tons of fun watching both of these movies, Broly and Dragon Ball Super Superhero. It was a very special time, and I gotta say one more thing, man. Nozawa is really old, but her screaming in this movie is insane. But she's not the only screamer, as you'll find out when you see it. With that being said, remember, my spoiler review, where I actually go through what I liked and didn't like about the movie, will be out soon. In the meantime, I have to give this movie a thumbs up. I enjoyed it much more than Resurrection F, and I'm telling you, there's about 9 or 10 scenes in this movie that I can see the audience giving a standing ovation to. There are so many great moments, so much fun. There's pro wrestling moves in this movie. I'm not even kidding. They do a DDT, the mandible claw from Mankind, a drop kick, and a giant swing. These moves are in this movie, dude. There is wrestling influence in this film, Western comics, Eastern comics. They crammed so much into this one, yo, that it's going to be a delight to see. Go see Dragon Ball Super Superhero when you can. We'll be talking a lot more about it for the rest of the year, I'm sure, because it's quite the film. Thank you. Have a great day. Leave a like. I'll talk to y'all soon.